Hey, welcome back to the Club Junkie podcast. Hopefully, you've had a great week. It is another Thursday morning, and yeah, it's a wild one. We got Ryder Cup announcements that just happened. We got some new products hitting, and then I think we got new products next week, which will be awesome as well. So, anyway, before we get into today's episode, I just want to let you know this episode is brought to you by Titleist and new T-Series irons. Are your irons helping you, or are they holding you back? Eliminating gaps in performance is the key to shooting lower scores. And the new Titleist T-Series irons are designed to help all golfers hit higher, further, and closer. Whether you prefer tour precision, maximum speed, and forgiveness, or somewhere in between, T-Series provides irons suited for every level of golfer, all with that signature Titleist quality and feel. They're everything you love about Titleist irons, with added performance and a new, seamless design that's absolutely stunning across all models, including a clean, modern look for the new T250. To find the T-Series irons that fit your game, or build your perfect blended set, visit Titleist.com to reserve T-Series fitting near you. So yeah, welcome back to the show. Another Thursday here, and it is getting close. I have my last week of golf league this week. I'm going to miss it, unfortunately. I'm going to spend Labor Day down with the fam. So I'm going to miss my last week, week 20, come and gone. It is insane. We play a 20-week league. We start in April, and it's already over. I know it seems like it's long, it's all summer, whatever, but it flew by. And unfortunately, your boy here, well, he didn't win. I came in 8th place out of 24 guys. I was in the lead for a while. I was top 3 for a long time. And then that kind of I think it was June-ish area, I missed just a bunch of weeks due to travel and between work and vacation, all that. I just missed a bunch of weeks, and that was a bummer. So, unfortunately, not going to hoist the trophy. I actually hoisted the trophy in that league one time. I think it was my second year that I played. I think I hoisted the trophy. I won the league, and it's a pretty crappy old bowling trophy that somebody modified with a little golfer on top. So it's not like you win anything too fancy, but it's still kind of cool to do. So I didn't actually go double check. I didn't go in and check and see who actually won it, but it was not me. I came in 8th place, so that's a bummer. But, all good. I still had a whole lot of fun. I'm going to still continue to try to play golf. I still got clubs I want to hit, all that stuff, and heck, I just want to keep playing golf. So I'm going to keep doing that as long as possible. But yeah, officially over. So my what's in the bag for the last week, which is actually a scramble. We do kind of the end of the year. We do one in the middle, one at the end of the year. We do kind of a scramble. Everybody throws a few bucks in, and the winning top 2 or 3 teams, depending on what the scores come out to be, win some money. So that's usually pretty fun, but I'm going to miss it and go down and play Bella Vista with my brother, at least one of my brothers, possibly both, and my dad, and then go have some fun doing that. So not going to play in the last week of the league, which is a bummer. But no, today we're going to talk about something that I think a lot of people are super interested in. That is the new lab. I'm going to call it the OZ.1i HS. So lab's new putter. And what they did was they're creating a lab putter with a heel shaft. And they just took the Oz shape and added a heel. They call it a riser. Some of us call it a hosel. Either way, it is brand new for them. I don't have it in my hands here because mine, they built this one. I went out to the media event a couple weeks ago, and I've got my old standard Oz here as just kind of like a somewhat visual aid. But the one I have, that's pretty cool. They're going to try to laser etch some cool stuff on the sole with the Club Junkie logo. So hopefully mine will come back with something cool on the sole. I think laser etched. I said do whatever you want, go as crazy as you want. I'm like, if you want to have it dancing, whatever, I'm all for it. So we'll see what they do, and it'll be done and shipped out to me. It was pretty cool anyway. They did kind of a little bit of a fitting-esque thing there, and then built our putters while we ate lunch, so they were ready to go when we went out on the course, and we went and played. So we had to visit their headquarters and all that, and it was pretty cool, pretty interesting. I had not I've seen some photos of the lab's headquarters, but did not know much about it other than before I got there, and it was pretty cool. I got to hang out with Sam, the CEO, Sam Hahn. Got to meet some of the other people in R&D and all that. Like Brian, who's one of I think he's like the VP of engineering or something like that. Super awesome guy. It was really fun to get to see everything, because it is, while it is what you think, it's not what you think. They are very different from other manufacturers of golf clubs in terms of some of the stuff they do, but they're very similar in other ways. We get to walk through their R&D department, and some of the stuff, we can't talk about it, but some of the stuff that they do in terms of equipment and testing and all these other stuff is similar to what I've seen at other places. So it was kind of cool that they're doing some, stuff similar. They're doing it kind of their own way, but they're doing some stuff very similar. We get to see the assembly area and kind of how they do things, some of the CNC machines, the laser etching. I mean, all the stuff that they do. We get to go around, and it's a pretty unique place. They're in Eugene, Oregon, so they're not in Carlsbad with like everybody else. They're in Eugene, Oregon, and it's at a course called what's it called? Emerald. Oh, geez, why did I forget the name now? I can't believe they're a thing, but they're on an actual golf course, and it was pretty cool because they now I can't think of the name of the place. Oh well, geez, it's Emerald something. God, I can't remember the name. Oh, but their headquarters there. So anyway, it was supposed to be a like golf resort and spa and all this stuff. And I guess that part of it, the resort, spa, all that part, like didn't work out. So it's kind of a cool little course. Really kind of risk reward off the tee. It's not crazy so demanding where if you don't hit like one specific spot, you're just blocked out. But if you hit a good tee shot, you're kind of rewarded for it. And if you don't, you're probably going to be a little bit blocked out or whatever. So it was a cool course, not crazy long. We played it from one of the more up tees, so it wasn't too bad. The greens were pretty nice. They weren't crazy fast. Some of them had some undulation. But it's cool because you walk in and you kind of go into the parking lot, you walk into the gate, and on the right is like the building with like the pro shop and stuff. Pro shop, little restaurant, all that. For the golf course, and on the left is the big putting green, practice green. So you walk down this aisle there, and as you walk down the aisle, there's a big door and sign that says Lab Golf on this separate building that's just beyond. And that building is Lab's headquarters. Well, that headquarters used to be the resort and spa. So when you walk into it, it's pretty interesting that like, you walk in there and the layout is still very kind of old school part of that. There's like an old restaurant that's still there that's not being used. It's totally dark. It'll probably be converted into something that Lab will use later on as they kind of go through this, kind of expansion and all that. But like we walked into the R&D room where they do a lot of engineering and R&D and testing and all that stuff. And they were explaining like I think this was the old spa room. Was that, and then we walked into another room that was kind of like holding a lot of like stuff. I think it was like components and shafts and all this stuff. It was kind of like a storage type room. It was really big. Like this was the women's locker room back in the day, and there was like a hallway that went down to some offices, some engineering people, and all that. And it was like this was like showers and all this stuff. It was like pretty funny and pretty cool to hear. This building that was something totally different, and now it is Lab's headquarters. But on the first floor is a lot of that stuff, and then you kind of walk up this ramp to the second floor, and they've got I'll call it their lobby, but it's a huge, massive indoor putting green with every Lab putter you can imagine up against the walls. Like you walk in and they see the putting green against the wall. There had to be 200 Lab putters up there. I mean, links, DF3s, Oz, I mean, everything from broomsticks to short, every length you can imagine, every lie angle, different alignments, I mean, different colors, I mean, you name it, every different shaft. I mean, they just had a million putters built and along that wall, which is pretty cool. And so we got to go in there, and that's what they kind of presented us with, the brand new OZ.1i HS. And as you can guess, the HS stands for heel shafted. So it is a heel shafted Oz. So this, again, I don't have mine in person. If you're watching on YouTube, there's my my regular Oz that I have. The shape is a little bit different when you look at the new one. It seems just a hair softer from a dress, but it's not. I mentioned to Brian, the engineer, I was like, yeah, it kind of looks like it's a little bigger, and he goes, it's not. It's actually the exact same. I think the exact same size and everything in shape as this Oz. But they've just done some modifications, some changes to it in order to work with the heel shaft and some stuff. So it was pretty cool to hear that it's the same. It is different. Like the back here where the center shaft is, there's more material in the center. Where the shaft goes into it on the standard Oz. Well, they were able to kind of change that a little bit on the HS model, fit it out so the top line looks a little bit more traditional, it's a little more thinner, and then it's kind of stepped in the back cavity with some nice machine work out of it. And then the other big thing you'll notice is in the back on the standard Oz, you'll see the screws to hold the steel face in place. Those on the new one have been moved to the sole, and it's all just a little bit of a different design, a little different shaping. Personally, I like the HS a little bit better in terms of looks. I kind of like the stylized back cavity and all that, with the kind of the step in it. The machine work looks really nice, and to my eye, it just looks a little bit softer to my eye, which was kind of nice. And then, of course, with the heel shaft, you see more of the putter head and more of the alignment system and all that. So I'm a big fan of the HS. I like it a lot. I got to putt with it. I got to play 18 holes with it, as well as kind of do my fitting and all that. And I'm really excited to get it when it shows up. So hopefully it'll be here soon. But it's kind of cool. So the big thing they had was, Sam kind of explained that, with all the success they've had, a lot of the feedback from both amateurs and on tour is that some people just do not like looking at a center shafted putter. Just not their thing. They don't like looking at it. It's not something that line up well, all that jazz. So they went about figuring out, all right, how do we get to those golfers? And heel shafted was the choice. So we saw them out on tour. I think that the Rocket Mortgage was the first place they showed up. But they ran into some problems with making a heel shafted putter that's also lie angle balanced. And the first one was, how do you get, we can get it lie angle balanced. They were like, that's not hard. But then what if someone needs a different loft, lie, length, anything like that? Do they want forward press? Do they not want forward press? Do they want a more vertical shaft? All that. And that's where kind of a lot of the problem solving and the engineering side of it came into it. Because if you basically take a putter and just, a lab, this OZ.1i HS, and you just bend it more upright, it's going to affect how the lie angle balance is. So it'll change how it sits. And what they did was pretty unique. I mean, thinking about it now, it seems so simple, but at the time, it's not as simple as you think. So they basically make, as they call them, risers. So in the heel, there's different length hosels, so taller and shorter. So the standard one is a certain length. Then if you go flatter, that riser or hosel gets shorter. And if you go more upright, that hosel gets longer. So they have 10 different sizes of hosels in there to accommodate all the lie angles. And what that does is that keeps the shaft virtually going into the dead center. So even though when you look down on it, you see more of the head, virtually that heel shafted putter is the shaft insert point, if it were to extend all the way down into the head, would go through the dead center. And that's kind of how it stays lie angle balanced with having this heel shaft. And, it's definitely still a unique look. It's not a pure, true mallet look. Heel shafted mallet like you'd expect from, say, a Spider or an Odyssey or whatever you want to compare it to. It definitely still has a little bit of that center shaft look to it. And of course, the face is in front of the shaft, which, for some people is still a unique look. But I think it's kind of a cool idea. Now, the riser, also the hosel, they made out of like lightweight aluminum. And they said they as you're taking this weight and shoving it into the heel and making it tall and all that, how do you make sure that not only, does it balance right and, all that, they had to make it light. So it was made out of aluminum, but then they were like, well, we could make it super light, but you also have to have durability. Because you think about it, when you're standing on a green, sometimes you're waiting for, your partners to putt out or whatever, and you lean on your putter. Like you kind of lean on it and stuff like that. Like it had to be strong enough to support those type of normal putter movements while also being light enough to not affect the balance as little as possible. So it was pretty cool to see. Also, the face has been slightly redesigned. There's also some potential there. Sam hinted at the fact that you're probably going to see, different face materials, different face millings, things like that. We saw a couple different ones that were in development that they had down in their R&D area. But the face itself, completely different design. And talking to Brian as well, he was kind of saying how much work went into making that face fit a certain way without having to just load it up with a bunch of double-sided tape and calling it a day. Is like, we really wanted this thing to fit so it sounded right, felt right, and it was durable and everything. So behind that face, while it looks still just like a nice L face in a sense, he's like, there was a lot of engineering that went into that. And the other part of that face is that it's part of the weighting of the head as well. So the head's still aluminum, the insert's steel, but they needed that weight as well to get the head weight and stuff like that up. So not only is it used for the sound and feel, but it also is used for the weighting of the putter, which I thought was pretty interesting. So very cool design there. And then also now having the ability for, like the standard Oz, you had the ability to have a shaft with forward press like this one does. It's got like the 2 degrees of forward shaft lean in it. You can have them vertical as well. So you get both options with the heel shafted model, which is pretty cool. So you have a ton of options and in the top in terms of sight lines and all that. It's all laser etched in, which is pretty sweet. and they do it like right there, and it just boom, they just knock it out, and they've got a ton of options on there. So mine, at first when I saw it, because we were kind of, so we did a little fitting thing there. So they split up the group. It was a bunch of media, a couple influencers and stuff. Half of us went on the tour and got to see kind of how everything worked and where everything was, R&D, all that stuff. And then the other half, was kind of, did a fitting. And we went through, so when it was my turn to come up and get fit, we started going through, I've had lab putters, so kind of went off what I had, and then, kind of went from there. And as we were fitting lie angle and all that, I was looking because he was handing me different putters at different lengths and lie angles, and we were kind of going through and seeing the tops. And the one that he handed me at first, I can't remember what color it was, but it had this like crazy long lines and all that. And I was like, it's kind of busy. But as I was putting and, going through this, I was like, man, I was making everything with that putter. That putter was just like, I was lining it up perfect. So I ended up going with this kind of wilder, crazy design on the top that features a lot of long lines across it. But even on the course, it seemed to work really well. But yeah, did the fitting there, went through. So I am, I believe, too flat. I'm either 68 or 69 degrees. So I'm like too flat on there. So my hosel is slightly shorter. I was there kind of with Jake from Made from the Range. He was on the thing. We were kind of comparing our putters out on the course because we played together. And he was, I believe, just like one up or two up. So it was funny looking at our putter side by side. His hosel, a little bit longer and all that. It was kind of cool to see the differences there. But yeah, so we went and got fit. And the other interesting thing is not only did he fit for lie angle and all that, but the shaft fitting was totally different. It isn't, it's not like a traditional shaft fitting. When you're getting shaft fitting, you're like, oh, it's like drivers. So you're finding something to kind of control launch and spin and do things differently in time. With these, it's really more about sound and feel. Yes, there's a stability aspect into some of the higher end stuff like the TPT and the gears and the new Diamana shaft and all that. There's a bunch of those, but also a lot of it is sound and feel. And it was amazing hitting the same putter with different shafts in it side by side, just like kind of like going back and forth. The differences between the soft and the firmness and how it made those things feel. And I finally got to hit the TPT shaft. Mine, I actually got the TPT shaft in it because I actually liked it. It was a really hard choice. I was going between the Diamana 12K and the TPT, and those were the two I was kind of looking at. And that 12K and the TPT were both kind of the firmest. TPT was a touch more firm, so you felt and sound, or you could feel and hear a little bit more of that impact. You got a little more click off the face, and you could feel that firmness. And then as you went down, like the acro was definitely a little bit softer, like a more muted. It kind of absorbed some of that. So it was very interesting. Gears kind of fell right in the middle as well. But and then the steel shaft was kind of actually like one of the softest. It was really interesting of how those things all changed into it. And they were like, yeah, it's one of those things when you're actually hitting them and seeing which one do you actually like the best. So I was really tough. I almost won the Diamana. It was kind of a coin flip. I ended up going TPT. So I've got the TPT one coming in there, but I really did like that like firmer, crisper feel off the face. So we got my thing dialed in. You also had the ability, like I said, to do shaft lean or not. I actually ended up going with shaft lean. A lot of people didn't. I was really debating, and again, it was one of those things putting side by side between a shaft lean and 0 degree shaft lean and 2 degree shaft lean. I just felt more comfortable with the 2 degree. And I think the same thing with the Oz. When I got the original, this is the OZ.1i, this one here, I had a vertical and a standard. And while the vertical one, I love the fact I can put like a Super Stroke Pistol 1.0 on it, I just felt more comfortable with the forward shaft lean for whatever reason. And I don't know if it's just because my Mez is built that way, my DF3 is built that way, all my other labs are built that way. This just felt better. So I ended up going 2 degrees of shaft lean on mine with the Press Pistol 2.0, the standard kind of pistol grip that lab has. And yeah, so 33 inches, 68 or 69 degree lie angle, so just a little bit flat. And then I went with kind of a little bit wilder top on it. And of course, I went with the cappuccino color because that's my favorite. It is a little more different. It is a little different with this new one. The color is a little bit more like metallic-y copper, where my like Mez is kind of like a tan. This one here is definitely a little bit more of like a coppery type color, which I kind of like. It was very interesting looking. So the fitting process was there, kind of working one-on-one with somebody, and you kind of went through. And then you did a little bit of soul searching on yourself in terms of what do you like the sound and feel and all that, but did get dialed in. The other cool thing, and I know I'm a little bit scattered here, is The other thing, before I get into actually playing with it, the other thing that was really interesting was going through, and while they wouldn't show us, I think they mentioned like in the area where they weight balance all these things, where they do the weighting and the balancing. They have some special I think some special tools, special things they use that I believe were removed out of the room. We weren't able to see it. But basically every putter that they make, whether it goes to a big box store like a Golf Galaxy or wherever, and there's stock sitting on the shelf there, or you custom order your, higher end, custom spec, whatever, it all goes through this room. So every single putter is touched by hand by someone there to either balance it and weight it or ensure it is done correctly, because they said they did some putters for some of the big box stores that were done not in their facility, in that facility there, it was done outside. And they said that those putters are shipped directly to Eugene, to their headquarters. They check them all, and then they ship them off to wherever they go, whatever store, whatever location gets them. So every single lab putter, regardless of where you get it, whatever, was touched by someone in this, I'm going to call it extremely small room, that they actually did all the weighting and balancing. So it was pretty cool. Talking to Brian, I kind of, we talked about like tolerances and the shaft roundness, and they kind of explained how that shaft, the straightness and roundness of the shaft affects the balance. And they were showing, they put some shafts on this little machine they had to show kind of the variances in roundness, and like one of them, like the tip section was totally like off. And then also, so I mentioned kind of like, well, the weights are, different. I'm like, I've weighed weights in other putters and drivers and other clubs, and a 5 gram weight could weigh 4.9, it could weigh 5.6, it could weigh whatever, like that. It can fluctuate a lot. And he said that their weights, they actually pay more to ensure that their weights are within a much tighter tolerance. So as crazy as you think, like, yes, lab putters, they're not cheap. The tolerance and stuff that they build to are pretty much unlike anything I've ever really seen. I mean, I've seen some pretty tight tolerance stuff in some of the iron and driver and all that builds when it comes to swing weights and things like that. But these go even a step beyond that, and the tolerances that they're describing and showing were really, really crazy. And it just goes to show that, yes, it's expensive, but for that money, like, they are, I mean, it's hand touched, every one. Like, these things are all hand done. Like, this thing doesn't just come out of a machine, thrown in a bag in a box, and it's at your doorstep. Like, it takes some time to make every one of these. And it is really, really pretty interesting. It was pretty cool. It was very eye opening. I didn't think, I knew they were a smaller operation than some of the big OEMs that I've walked through and all that, and I was right. But some of the stuff they do is definitely unique in that aspect, and the lengths they go to build something is kind of beyond what I've seen really anywhere else. So it was really cool to get to talk to people, meet people who are doing this stuff, and then see. Again, I always tell you guys the passion that these people have. Like, they are not out there just trying to yank $600 out of your wallet. They're literally trying to make the best putters they possibly can, and whether that's from an engineering standpoint, a build quality standpoint, I mean, whatever it is done. It's pretty cool. So yeah, we got to go through all that and see everything. And then, yes, so I got my putter built while I was eating lunch, and then I was, the social butterfly, talking, hanging out, whatever with people. And I was the first tee time. So I literally ran out to the first tee with like one shoe on. I was tying my shoes on the cart while the other three guys were teeing off. But we went and played, maybe it's called Emerald Valley. I think it's called Emerald Valley. Now I'm like, Emerald Valley. Yeah. Nope. Emerald Valley. In Emerald Valley. Golf. Yeah. So Emerald Valley Golf Course, Golf Club is where it is. So very cool place. Very different than what I expected. I'd never played golf in Oregon other than Bandon, so it was very different, but a very cool course. And Sam Hahn, the CEO, was a big fan of the course and all that. But yeah, so we got to do go out and play. So I had mine built again, like I said, 33 inches, 1 or 2 flat, cappuccino. I went heavy head as well. And they built it right there. I literally took the tag with my name off it on, threw it away, and I was out playing with it right away. So interesting thing I will say about it is that, like, the standard OZ.1i, like this one I have in my hand, this is probably my least favorite. I've never putted with a link. I did putt with a link on their putting green, just a few putts with it as I was kind of messing around with some putters. But out of them, I do have to say this is kind of my least favorite, only because it feels to me the least stable. It doesn't feel like it wants to stay. To me, it doesn't feel like, my feeling to me is that the face pulling it through impact. And the Oz to me feels the least out of all of them. I think the DF3 has the biggest feel of that. That it feels like the face is just pulling through impact and staying on a straight line. I think the Mez is very close to that. DF 2.1 is pretty darn good. But the Oz was never my favorite, so I was very interested to putt with this thing. And I will say that it's not DF3 stable in terms of that feeling, but it is definitely different than OZ.1i. Very different. And it was funny because I was talking to somebody there who was like, I absolutely love my Oz. And I was like, that's funny because I don't love it. And we were talking, and he's like, I got a bunch of arc in my stroke, and it's just like, it feels really natural. And I was like, that makes so much sense because I try to be a little bit more straight back, straight through, especially with these lie angle balance putters. So we had a very interesting conversation about that, and it made a whole lot of sense. But the HS, I feel like, is a little bit closer to, it's kind of more Mez-like in terms of that feeling. It feels very stable, or feels much more stable than the Oz. I feel like it slots in kind of right there, very similar to Mez 1 Max, maybe just a hair less than that, but very, very good. And so anyway, we got out the first hole. I kind of walked out, 0 warm-ups, I mean, nothing. Hit a ball, caught a tree limb, so I kind of had to hit this low shot. It hit the green and ran just off, so I was just on the fringe in the back. So I had a little downhiller that broke to the left, and first putt out of the gate, didn't put on the practice green, nothing. I knew no idea how fast they were. One of the guys in the group said, yeah, they're fairly quick, and hit a nice little putt, came off of the fringe, rolled down to like 4 inches, and off I went. So it was kind of nice. The first swing felt really good. Like I said, the setup I had, I really liked. But as we went through the course, the one thing that I can say, which I've struggled with the DF3, I've struggled with the Oz, is alignment. I've always felt like the lab putters are super consistent, but alignment for me was always a struggle. And that's why I think I loved my Mez 1 Max so much, was that the sharp, long lines on it, the more angled thing, it just allowed me to line it up better. And the HS, I think, really allows me to do that better because I can see more of the top of the head. When I look down on it, again, I got kind of a little wilder sight line on there. It's kind of triple, so it's got like a kind of a middle one that's thick, or it's like a dual in the middle, and then I've got outside ones as well. There's kind of a decent amount going on there. But I felt like that day I was starting ball. I was able to line up that putter to my intended target far better than my other lab putters, other than my Mez, which I didn't have with me. I didn't, like, they basically said, like, don't even bring a putter. We're gonna have a putter for you. So the alignment portion, I thought, for me was absolutely massive. Even putts that I was a little bit tricked on the read and things like that, I started the ball exactly where I wanted to start it, pretty much every time. I mean, yes, I'm not that great, so every once in a while I would close the face or something like that, and I missed a putt here and there. I think on one of the par threes, I should have made a birdie putt, or one of the holes I should have had a birdie putt that was like 2 feet, and I just left the face wide open on it. I just didn't commit to hitting it hard enough up the hill. And so that stuff is still possible, but my alignment on that was absolutely massive. And, I didn't always use a line when I line up. I do a lot when I'm playing, normally, but when I'm playing with a group like that, we're just kind of playing and talking and all that. But the more I would line up the putt, it was really easy to use the line of the ball, especially the aim alignment on the Titleist ball to where my target was, and hit those shots, or hit those putts really, really easy. And I thought that was one of the biggest things I walked away from, as this is a bigger improvement over any other lab to me, was just visually, looking at that and being able to line it up. So that I'm a big fan of. I think the sound and feel is great. It's like an OZ.1i. If you put it with that, with the steel face insert, it's got just a hair of click to it. It's very solid feeling. It takes most of that aluminum feel out of it. It may be a touch softer due to that aluminum body, but for the most part, the sound and feel is really good. It's really solid. Playing a Pro V1X, you get that just a little bit of click from the firmness of the ball, and it's very pleasant. I really like it. I like I told Brian there. I keep mentioning his name. Him and I talked a lot. I mentioned to him, I was like, man, I would love a Mez 1 Max with a steel insert, and he was like, yeah. He's like, they've prototyped some stuff and they've tested around, whatever. Like, they just haven't got it to where, I think he said something with the amount of weight it shoves. It just, it may not ever work, but right now it's not there, but they've messed with it. I was saying, I just really like the sound and feel. I think that was a huge change, was moving to that. And I think the maybe future ability to have other millings, other inserts, things like that into these putters, I think is going to be huge, because sound and feel I think is super solid. Much like the Oz, I think it's the best feeling ones. I like that little bit of firmness over the softness of the DS3 and the Mez 1 by far. Like I'm more of a fan of it. So sound and feel is really good. I didn't really notice a big difference between the new Face Design and the Oz that I have, here. Pretty much very similar in terms of that solid feel and that click, but very, very good in terms of the sound and feel. And then the roll of the ball was great. Never had a ball that I thought had any type of skidding or hopping, anything like that. Now they will never say that the face milling is, promoting any type of roll or doing a whole lot there. But that part of it, I thought it rolled very well. Ball came off. It definitely isn't too hot. They mentioned with that steel face, they said the steel face to aluminum, the distance control was different. I think they say the steel face is like 4 to 6% hotter than the aluminum. I guess the aluminum would come off a little softer, but the ball speed number they notice in terms of testing conditions was like 4 to 6%, faster with the steel, which was pretty interesting. I thought it would actually be a little bit slower, but that is not how it is. So distance is just a hair longer, but I thought it was super consistent. It was super easy to hit. I never had a putt. There was one that, I never played the course, so there was one that the pin was up on like a little crest and it rolled away. That one I hit it a little long and it rolled by the hole, but that was just because of undulation. I never had a putt that I hit that went by, that either came up short or went by too much or too long that I was shocked at. Everything was really consistent in terms of the roll there. And then stability seemed actually really good. I know that line angle balance or zero torque, whatever you want to call it, some people say they're not as stable just because that shaft in the center, the face can rotate on that axis. If you hit it on the toe or the heel a little bit, the face can rotate a little bit more. I felt like this was fairly stable. Again, I think DF3 is probably the most stable in the lab lineup, but I thought the HS was pretty good. It felt a little bit better than the standard Oz to me. My miss lately has been a little bit off the toe. I think I kind of bring it back and I get outside and come down on it. So I get out on the toe a little bit, and those shots there went pretty darn straight. I never had anything that I felt was that far offline or anything like that. It was pretty solid. Overall, I like the feel of the TPT when I got it outdoors. When you get outside, the sound changes a little bit because you don't have like kind of the confined space of an indoor putting green. But out there, I thought the sound and feel was good. It was still kind of crisp. It had just a little less audible click to it out there than I felt like it had, indoors. But overall, I was really pleased with it. I thought that shaft was extremely stiff. You knew where that head was throughout the whole stroke. There was just no flex, no movement to it. And this thing really, it performed really well. So it's going to be interesting. Do I like the HS more than I like the Mez? That will be interesting because I'm going to have to go out and actually play with it on kind of like my courses that I play and all that. But it is a really solid putter. I think they did a nice job. I like the fact that they're still keeping a ton of customization. I'm excited to see where that part of it goes because I know people, when you're spending this kind of money, you want something that's, kind of what you want. And I think them having the ability to kind of make a lot of changes in terms of colors and sight lines and things like that, different shafts, different grips, all that makes it a little bit more palatable when you start looking at how that, that you can make that putter your own. And then the other interesting thing too is I guess, with that hosel, you can, or they call it riser, they can change it. There's a bolt to it. It actually fits in. It's bolted in place. And I guess like if you ever changed up your putting stroke, did something different, they could technically change that hosel. I don't think they're going to ever like sell hosels. They said they kind of don't know about that, but you could change it out if you, for some reason, needed to change out the hosel for a different line angle change if, your putting stroke changed or something like that. So kind of cool as well that all that worked, but really just a solid putter. I'm overall really happy with it. So far, I think it would be, it's hard to say will it be my favorite lab. I don't know because it's got to go against the Mez 1, the Mez 1 Max. So we'll see when I get it here if it's able to knock that out. I don't know. It's always interesting because I always say like, yes, they will. Because like when Oz first came out, I was super excited. I was like, all right, Mez is done. And it wasn't. When DF3 came out, I kind of thought Mez might be done. It wasn't. So I don't know yet. We're going to see kind of how that plays out when I get it. But overall, the first round, I putted really well. I would say in the front nine. I don't remember what I shot, but the front nine, I putted extremely well. I made a couple long putts. I didn't miss any short putts. And then on the back nine, I think the 103-degree heat started to kind of get to all of us. We all kind of, fell apart a little bit on the back nine. but I never was, three putting things or anything like that. I mean, I was leaving everything close to the point where, people would just be like, that's good. Or, you had like a 1 foot putt or whatever. I mean, it was all stuff really close. So out of that whole day, I putted, better than anything. So that was a really big thing. I chipped really well too, but I putted really well. So the brand new Lab, OZ.1i HS. I think it's pretty cool. I think it's a nice thing. I think if you're someone who, visually doesn't like the center shaft, I think this is definitely a legitimate option. Does it solve all of the look issues with a line angle balanced putter? No, I don't think so. But I think this is definitely a step in the right direction, and I think it definitely gives you some options when you start looking at that compared to the other Lab putters, because it is different. Some of it's the same, some of it you just can't change what it looks like. But from address, it definitely does change the look a little bit. And I think some people are going to like that. And I think it's going to bring some players in who have not really liked Lab putters because of that visual of the center shaft. And it's going to give them the ability to try it and not have looks be the determining factor of not playing it. So very cool. If you go to labgolf.com, you can go check it out. Their stuff is up on the site. I know I was messing with the build your own one early in the morning on Wednesday. And it was not functioning 100% correctly. Like the changes you made, all that weren't showing up on the site. I don't know if they fixed that yet. I'm hoping that they have, if they haven't. But I was messing with it just to see some of the different sight lines and things like that. And it wasn't quite working. So I'm going to go in and mess with it again, see if it's working. Hopefully it is, because there's a lot of really cool options and all that. So hopefully I'll have mine here soon. I'm excited to get on the course. I'll report back when I do, and I'm going to take it out and put it right against the Mez, and we'll see what happens between those two. And maybe I'll do the end of the year then, line angle balanced or zero torque kind of putter ranking, because I know I did my first one. Maybe we'll see if this one, if anything changes. So that'll be pretty cool, pretty exciting. So yeah, that is the OZ.1i HS. I'm a big fan. I like what they've done, and I'm excited to see what else Lab's going to come out with. So I know that they had that funding, so there's definitely some ideas kicking around over there, and it'll be cool to see what is next on their plate. So like I said, go to labgolf.com, check out everything there, and see how would you build your custom OZ.1 HS putters. So that's all I've got today. Hopefully you guys have a good one. And follow me on social at Club Junkie Pod. Wherever you're listening to the podcast, please like, subscribe, all that jazz. It would be really helpful. And that's all I've got. So have a good weekend, play some golf, have a good long weekend, and we'll jump back into it next week.